So recently, myself and my husband, mid-30s, have decided we do not want to do holidays. No Valentine's, Easter, Christmas. We both feel they're a waste. We're not religious and feel all the holidays are as companies, and now societal pressure forcing people to feel obligated to buy things. We informed my family that we won't be doing Christmas this year, explained it's pointless to spend money trying to guess what X, Y, and Z want, and XYZ spending money trying to figure what we want, when we could all just buy our own things and be happy with what we have. I mean, if it's cheap enough to be got as a gift and I want it, I'll have bought it for myself anyway. By the end, you've all spent money you can barely afford, and all got a bunch of stuff that 90% of the time will be chocolate, bath sets, or random stuff sent to charity because it doesn't really have a place or use for you, and the companies are laughing their butts off at us all. For the most part, my family seemed okay with it. A few days later, my mother rang me. She said she'd been thinking about this whole no Christmas thing and asked that surely we'd still be getting something for my nephew. I said no, we're not doing Christmas. We're fine with meeting up for celebratory meals and spending time together, etc., because that's family time, and we feel we should do it more often, but that we can't get behind the whole gifting thing. She said she thinks I am wrong to take that stance, that I'm being mean and unloving to my nephew. She says as he'll be 4 by Christmas, he'll be upset that I didn't get him anything and think I don't like him. I explained that many children don't get things for Christmas. Some don't celebrate for religious reasons. Some have parents who cannot afford to, etc. And that I buy him things all the time. I just don't feel I should get him something just because it's expected. I also said if he will be upset/angry and think I don't like him, that's a parenting issue, not a me issue, because he should be taught that presents aren't everything and to be thankful for what I do get him. She's been in a mood with me for a few days now and shows no signs of letting up. She's intentionally being cold to me and my husband in the hopes it'll get us to change our mind, ETA. Since I'm having to repeat myself on this, money isn't the issue. Yes, I buy him things. I just feel it's more heartfelt to buy him things as and when, rather than one thing lost in a pile on a certain day. Much prefer his smile at a random gift than his smiles rolled into one day. His mother agrees. She says he gets so much on Christmas, she struggles to organize it all anyway. It's just my mother with the issue. Also, gifts aren't given by hand at Christmas in my family. They are all put into a pile for him. He has no idea who gives him what, and won't know I didn't get him anything unless specifically pointed out. All he sees is a large pile of gifts. Second edit, I won't be seeing him or any of the family on Christmas. My family has one large extended family meal around the end of November. We do not get together otherwise. I have tried in past years to get meetups and activities together going, but to no avail. We spend Christmas in our own homes. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot, and it's unfortunate that your mom thinks you can't show a kid you love them without presents. Your nephew is young and might ask you why you didn't get him anything, and you can teach him that not everyone celebrates Christmas. I stopped giving my nieces and nephews gifts a long time ago, and instead started saving up the money I would have spent. Each niece and nephew gets that money when they graduate high school. They can use it on something fun or practical. Comment 2, you're the idiot. Yes, you can absolutely do this. You can refuse to partake in any gift giving you want. What you don't get to do is get mad when people have opinions about you going against some pretty established traditions. You also don't get to tell other people how they should handle gift giving for their own kids, family, etc. Of course, people are going to think you're a Grinch and mean, and they do not have to support it. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So the other day, my mom decided to take things up a notch. She went behind my back and told my nephew that Auntie and Uncle had a special surprise for him for Christmas. You can imagine the mess that caused. My sister called me, confused, asking what this surprise was because her son was now bouncing off the walls with excitement. I had to explain there was no surprise because we weren't doing Christmas gifts. My sister wasn't mad at me. She was mad at our mom for lying and getting her son's hopes up. But that's not even the half of it. My mom, in her infinite wisdom, decided to throw a family dinner and invited everyone except us. I heard about it through my cousin, who let it slip. It was supposed to be a secret, I guess, a sort of punishment for not playing along with her Christmas plans. It hurt, not gonna lie, but it also lit a fire under me. I had a long talk with my husband, and we decided to host our own dinner on the same night. We invited friends, neighbors, even my sister and her family, who were caught in the middle of this whole thing. Everyone came to our place instead. The house was full of laughter and good food. No gifts, just people enjoying each other's company. It was exactly what we wanted. The next day, my mom found out about our dinner. She was furious, saying we stole her guests and ruined her evening. But the thing is, people had a choice, and they chose us, not because of some petty family feud, but because they wanted a stress-free evening. It was a hard pill for her to swallow. Then, as if things couldn't get more tangled, my mom's best friend, who's like an aunt to me, called me up. She was upset, not with me, but with my mom. Turns out my mom had been spreading rumors about us, saying we were struggling financially, and that's why we weren't doing gifts. Her friend knew it wasn't true and gave my mom an earful about honesty and respect. The aftermath was a mix of awkward apologies and silent treatments. My mom's friend started to distance herself from her, and my mom was left with a lot fewer allies than she started with. It was a lesson in humility, I guess, but here's where I got my so-called revenge, though I didn't plan it. My nephew's birthday came around not long after Christmas, and I got him a thoughtful gift, something he'd been wanting for a while. When he opened it, his face lit up like the sun. My mom saw that and realized that it's not about the day or the expectation. It's about the thought and love behind it. She saw the joy in her grandson's eyes and knew she'd been wrong. In the end, my mom came around. She apologized for the drama and admitted she'd let her own expectations cloud her judgment. We're slowly mending fences now, but it's going to take time. As for my husband and me, we're sticking to our no-gift holidays. It's less about the presents and more about the presence, and that's what really matters. Thanks for reading. My mother-in-law undermines my parenting and turns my toddler into a wild child. So I lay down the law and show her who's boss. I, 36-year-old female, have a 2.5-year-old son. He is energetic and curious, like every child is supposed to be. Meltdowns are age-appropriate, but he usually doesn't do that unless he misses sleep, gets sick or something like that. I make sure to let him release his energy in playgrounds, etc., every day so he wouldn't climb furniture. LOL. Our parenting style is similar to that British show called Super Nanny. By that I mean, for example, if you don't eat your vegetables, you won't get any desserts. No matter how much you cry, it won't change that. Or 19:30 is the sleep time after our nighttime routine. Unless there is an extreme case, 99% of the time, he will be in his bed, trying not to be in bed to have more fun. We do a little dance where he comes back to me and I put him in his bed again and again. Rules are rules. My mother-in-law, 58-year-old female, lives far away from us and invited us to her home so she can see her grandson face to face instead of everyday FaceTiming. Her home is filled with knickknacks, etc. I mean, it is not ideal to have my toddler live in there for a week, but with our parenting style, if we say no, it means no. So we thought it would be manageable with my 24/7 supervision. What we didn't calculate was my mother-in-law's character. She is not a recovering people pleaser. She is a proud people pleaser. She thinks she is like Mother Teresa, but it is actually one of my husband's traumas that he had to act extra aggressive to people to protect his mother from the people using her. She started giving my son chocolate cake behind my back because he refused eating his proper meal, and I was like, he will eat when he is hungry. Apparently, she couldn't imagine a toddler being left hungry by his mother. And since he is refusing the meal, he has to eat something, right? Whenever my son has meltdowns for things that I wouldn't let him do, she saves him from his despot mom and does the thing with him because she couldn't bear watching him cry like it is the end of the world. Thanks to her week-long actions, now my son thinks my mother-in-law overrides my rules. If he cries enough, he can get what he wants. So now he doesn't stop crying for a long time, since eventually his angel of a grandma will save him. Today I woke up with the flu and my mother-in-law volunteered to babysit him. After a few hours, she came to my room asking for me to pay for her kitchen cabinets. Apparently, he was banging a ladle on the cabinet doors and made a lot of dents on the paint. I was like, where were you when it happened? She was right there. She wouldn't have left him alone, of course. Why didn't you take the ladle from his hands? Well, he didn't let her, After the meaningless back and forth with similar questions, and I already had a headache from my sinuses, I just went back to sleep saying, "No, I won't pay, and it seems like you need to discipline your grandson and be the bad guy for the first time." Now she is crying in her room, so am I the a-hole? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. She was the one in charge of the kid, and she allowed him to damage her cabinets. But for next time, don't visit again in person. It's unacceptable that she's undermining you and spoiling him to the point that there are disciplinary issues with him now. You're going to have hell to pay when you go home, and for that reason alone, I would decline to visit again and leave early if that's possible. Comment 2. Lord, I remember when my mother-in-law handed markers and coloring books to my little ones while they were sitting on her couch, then panicked when an inch-long mark was made on the fabric. Washable marker. Ma'am, you handed them the instrument of the crime and chose the location yourself. We cleaned the mark off while she was all flustered and looking up upholstery cleaners. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then. A month after the cabinet incident, my mother-in-law, let's call her Jane, decided to visit us again. I thought we had an understanding after our last talk, but I was wrong. She arrived with a suitcase full of toys and sweets, undermining our rules from the get-go. My son was over the moon, of course, but I could see trouble brewing. Jane's visit coincided with my son's birthday, and she insisted on throwing a party. I agreed, thinking it would be a small family gathering. Instead, Jane invited the entire neighborhood, turning our backyard into a mini carnival. The chaos was unbelievable. My son, high on sugar and excitement, was running busy. I tried to intervene, but Jane kept soothing him with more treats, making my efforts futile. The real problem started when Jane gifted my son a puppy. We had discussed getting a pet when he was older and more responsible, but Jane decided it was the perfect present. My husband and I were furious, but the damage was done. Our son had named the puppy and was already attached. The following weeks were a nightmare. The puppy, not being house-trained, caused havoc. My son, following Jane's example, refused to follow any rules. He would throw tantrums, expecting to get his way, just like at Jane's house. The puppy chewed through a power cord, causing a short circuit that left us without electricity for a day. The repair costs were significant, and the tension in our household was evident. Jane's influence had turned our disciplined home into a battleground. My husband and I were constantly at odds trying to reestablish order. Our son was confused and acting out more than ever. It was clear that Jane's indulgence had severe consequences. 2 months into Jane's visit, I caught my son sneaking out of the house. He had taken the puppy and was heading to the park alone. My heart stopped. Anything could have happened to him. I realized then that my mistake wasn't just letting Jane overstep boundaries. It was not standing firm on our parenting principles from the start. I sat down with my husband and we had a long, hard talk. We agreed that Jane's visits would have to be supervised and her influence limited. It was a tough decision, but our family's safety and well-being were at stake. We explained to our son that rules were in place to protect him and that even grandma had to follow them. It took time, but he began to understand. We found a new home for the puppy with a family ready for the responsibility, which broke our hearts, but it was for the best. Jane was upset, feeling we were rejecting her love. It took several conversations, tears, and apologies, but eventually she saw the impact of her actions. She agreed to respect our rules in the future, and slowly we started to rebuild the trust that had been broken. Today, 3 months after Jane's last visit, our home is back to normal. My son's behavior has improved, and he's learning that boundaries are not meant to be broken. Jane calls and checks in, but she hasn't visited since. It's a delicate balance, but we're managing. Thanks for reading. My husband's cleaning frenzy traps me with his meddling family for weeks. So I book a hotel and leave him to deal with the chaos alone. My husband and I closed on a property 8 days ago in his home state, and before we moved in, he wanted to do a deep clean. I'm highly allergic to bleach, and we have a 1-month-old baby, so our son and I couldn't be in the home while he did this. He asked his mother if we could stay there, and she was fine with it, but he keeps prolonging the process. He said it would only be a day of deep cleaning. It was a fairly new house, so it wasn't filthy or in need of repair. He has only done 2 rooms because he keeps finding new tasks that he wants to complete before we move in, like replacing the carpet or installing a new shower because the one in the home was outdated. The home was built in 2019. The issue is that I've grown to absolutely hate his mother during this time period. His sister also lives here, and I'm 2 seconds from snapping on her as well. She's 32 and kid-free because she keeps pulling the, "I'm really concerned that you have PPD. Let me take the baby when you go get help" talk, when in reality, I'm getting pissed off and irritable because they won't leave me or my baby alone. Like his mom has come into the guest room 4 times at 5:30 to 6 a.m., waking me up saying, "I'm going to take the baby so you can sleep," even though the baby was sleeping. Telling me to let my kid cry it out, because if not, I'm going to spoil him. Putting food in front of me that I hate, spaghetti, Salisbury steak, etc., and giving me a clip to eat. And if I say I don't like that food, I get a tough shoot, "You need to eat." His sister even stood over me yesterday saying she would force feed me if she had to. And then they make comments like, "What would you even do without our village helping you?" The village being them and their help. I'm non-confrontational usually, but this morning I snapped and told them they needed to back off because they are starting to really get on my last nerve. And now it's awkward here. Well, 2 hours ago, my husband calls and says, "I think I'm going to replace this light fixture. I can't get it clean the way I would like." At this point, I told him to hurry the hell up because I'm done staying with his mother. I would gladly take my savings and go to a hotel at this point if it meant that I don't have to be near these people. Now he's upset with me because his mom means well, and they are just trying to help, and he's asking me to just ignore them to save the family dynamic because he hasn't seen them in 8 years, and he doesn't want to spoil the family dynamic because he wants to be involved with his family. But at this point, I hate this family. They aren't helping, and I've told them this much. And now they are just trying to diagnose me with PPD and tell me I need psychiatric help. Am I the idiot? ETA. I don't know anyone in the area. It says there's no available drivers in my area for Uber and rideshares. My vehicle is still in our last state, and we were supposed to go grab it and the remainder of our stuff after moving into our home. So right now, I'm solely reliant on him and his vehicle, but he's gone from like 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. working on the house, just to get absolutely nothing done. Cleaning with bleach was his idea because he's under the impression nothing gets properly cleaned unless you use bleach, despite me telling him otherwise. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1, not the idiot if the new house is only 30 minutes away and all he's doing there is cleaning. Then you keep the vehicle and drop him off at the beginning of the day and pick him up when he's done. I bet he'll want to go get the other vehicle ASAP once he's relying on you for rides. Spend your days away from your in-laws, go to parks and libraries. Shop for stuff for the new house. Comment 2, not the idiot, you need to get away from your mother-in-law and sister-in-law before you do have a psychotic break because of them. Are there any rooms in the house that are clean that you can stay in? If not, make this your hill to die on. Your husband either gets the house deep clean, move-in ready, or you and your son are getting the hell out of your mother-in-law's house no matter what. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more of this mess. So, my husband finally finished the light fixture, but guess what? He decided the walls needed a fresh coat of paint. I couldn't believe it. I thought we were finally going to move into our new home. But no, another delay. And the tension at his mom's place? It's only getting worse. His sister, the one who's been on my case about PPD, she went through my phone while I was showering, said she was looking for signs of depression in my texts. Can you believe that? I was so mad I could barely speak. I told her it was a complete invasion of my privacy, but she just shrugged it off, saying she did it because she cares. I'm starting to think she enjoys making me feel cornered. And then the big blow-up happened. My husband's mom sat me down for a serious talk. She told me she thinks I'm not fit to be a mother right now, and that they should take care of the baby full-time until I get my act together. I was so shocked I couldn't even respond. I just got up and locked myself in the guest room with my baby. I cried for hours, feeling trapped and alone. The next day, my husband came back late, as usual, and I told him what his mom said. He got defensive, saying she didn't mean it like that. But I know what I heard, he doesn't get it. He's so caught up in making the house perfect that he doesn't see how his family is treating me. And then, as if things couldn't get any worse, his mom did something that made my blood boil. She called a family meeting without telling me and announced that she had scheduled an appointment with a therapist for me. She had the nerve to tell everyone that I was going through a tough time and needed professional help. I felt so betrayed. How dare she make decisions about my mental health without even talking to me first? My husband, he just sat there nodding along. I wanted to scream at him, at all of them. But I didn't. I just sat there feeling like the world was against me. I'm starting to wonder if I'm the crazy one here. Now I'm just counting the days until we can leave. But with every new project my husband finds, that day seems further away. I'm stuck in this house with people who think they know what's best for me and my baby, and I have no way out. It's like I'm living in a bad dream and I can't wake up. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!